Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. So I got a request to do a video about study tips, so here they go, about real estate. So the best thing to do is go to your state real estate commission website. Also, wherever you get your pre-licensure course through as well. It took me like 7 times to pass, like 6 or 7 times to pass the exam. I am very transparent about that. The exam is extremely hard. There were several people, like at first, like the first few times I was like, dang, I'm like stupid, I'm not getting this. And there were like several people, we kept coming back and we were like, didn't pass this time, I'll see you next time. Like, you know, and I know like this one lady, they were telling me a story when I was at a networking event, because I'm with EXP, that's my brokerage. They were telling me at EXPCon there was this lady that said it took her like in the teens, like 15, 16 times to pass the exam, but now she's like $1 million producing agent. She makes like millions of dollars, X, Y, and Z. So even though you don't pass, if you don't succeed, try again and keep going, because if you want it bad enough, I've always heard the saying and it sticks with me, if it's easy, it's not worth it, and if it's worth it, it's not going to be easy, or whatever the saying is. And so that is very true. But I just want to share really quick my story. So like I said, it was like 6 or 7 times, I lost count at this point. And when I finally went in there, like the first few times I just studied my material from Real Estate Express. And like I said, sometimes that covers, and I'm gonna put at the end of the video a link. If you don't know what Real Estate Express is, that's where I got my license through, my pre-licensure course through. And so I just thought like, okay, they have some national stuff with some state stuff, that's enough, fine. Took it and I wasn't far off. Like every time you have to have a 70 to pass, and I was always like in the 60s, or in the one time that I dipped into the 50s, it was like a 58. One time, y'all, I got a 69. And I was like, are you serious? Like I was so upset when I left, but it's my fault. And I was like, why they can't just give me the point? Like, hello. Like I was so mad, but they can't do that, of course. And so I just thought that my study material through them was going to be enough. But what helped me also, I'm going to be very transparent, I was super busy. I was also launching my notary business, and I had quit my corporate job, and it was just so much going on, trying to transition into Nala's going to daycare at that point now. So like it was just so much going on that I honestly like wasn't dedicating enough study time as well. And then I also like dipped into like a little depression, I guess you would say, because I left my corporate job. So then I'm like, who am I don't have a job, how am I gonna pay bills? And it was a whole bunch of stuff going on. So I wasn't studying enough. I just would study like right before the exam or do a cram session, and that's not enough. You have to stay very consistent on it, and that's another major tip. Consistency is key in getting all the material that you can. So use your pre-licensure course study material if you go through them. Hopefully you clicked on my link and you went through Real Estate Express. So you'll use the flashcards, the progress exams, the final exams, all of that stuff. And then also go to your state's real estate commission website. So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like in a minute. But I say go through that because they're going to have like all of the codes, all of like the stuff that you learned in your pre-licensure course. They're going to have that and even more information. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Website, as you see, Empower, Connect, and Educate. And this is where we go to like renew our license. Once you're an agent, if you need to see like your CE hours, you need to see your license number, all of that stuff is through here, and it tells you like where they are, blah blah blah. Get in touch with them, the email, all that contact stuff. They're really responsive. When I had to call, I just had no problem. Like they were so nice, so kind, and just I really enjoyed them. So they have different events and stuff that go on, so they tell you about the events, like you can see here, their website and social media, all that good stuff here. So if you go to laws and you go to license law, don't let me click on it, it's tripping. Okay, so here they're gonna have all of the articles, and I just went through here and just started reading every single article, definitions, and this is, I think, the key that really helped me pass my exam, because I hadn't done this before, and something just told me, go to the who's gonna know better about the state portion, because when you go and take your exam, it breaks down which portion you didn't do as well on, and I was missing it by a few on my state portion. And so I said, well, who's gonna know better than my actual state website? And so as you see, you just go in here, it gives you every article by section numbers, every single thing here. And I mean, like I said, I think this is what helped me pass my exam, and it just tells you everything that you need to know. So let's just go in here, and we're gonna go to article 2, and let's just say we're gonna learn about section 34, 27, 32, requirements for license application, blah blah blah. Okay, so we're in here, and this just tells you what you need as a requirement for your license. So boom, this just breaks it down, tells you straight up what it is, 19, US citizen, blah 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 there. And this just goes into direct detail. And like I said, I honestly think that no matter what pre-licensure course you take, they're not going to be as detailed as your state's real estate commission website. So this is the first place after you pass your pre-licensure course. When you're studying, you need to go here. And so, of course, it tells you more about, boom, the recovery fund, fees that have to be paid. It just tells you so much information. Like, I don't know exactly what more you can look for. So this is the first place that I would start. So y'all saw how detailed the AREC website is. That's the Alabama website. But first, consistency. 2, immediately go to your state real estate commission's website. 3, just make sure that you are using whatever pre-licensure course you took, whatever study materials they gave you, whether that's a study guide, flashcards, a progress exam, a final exam, whatever study stuff they gave you, use that as well. I would not recommend going on YouTube. I did that and just looked up like Alabama study material for real estate, and I can honestly say, like, it did not help me when I took the exam. None of that stuff was on there, and then I was frustrated because I had spent so much time studying it and watching it. So I would say look at printed material, unless like your pre-licensure has like some type of video led by an instructor or something like that that's interactive. But I wouldn't use YouTube as a resource. I know that there's like Real Estate Tutor, and there's like different sites to try and get you to use them. I wouldn't do that either. There was a website that I went through that was like $40, and it was like, if you use our study material, you're like 100% gonna pass. I used it, and 1, none of the material was on the exam, and 2, I did not pass. And so after that, I was frustrated, and that's when I went to my state website, and I just studied for a week straight for like hours a day, like at least 2 or 3 hours just on my state website. When I went to take my exam, I felt the most relaxed. And when I walked out, so I take an exam, and I'm like, okay, this is like the 6th or 7th time. Those that haven't passed, we're all looking at each other like, all right, you got this, like, you can do it. And I'm just like, God, if it's gonna be, it's gonna be. If it's not, we just gonna come back next week. And at this point, I'm going every single week. I think there was 1 week I missed a week, but I'm going every single week so that the material stays fresh on your mind. And granted, let me throw this out there, when you take your test, you have to pay. So I think in Alabama it was like $75, $77, something like that, but every single time. So mind you, I paid that 6 or 7 times on top of me studying. And like that, it was, y'all, 6 or 7 weeks that I had to take this exam at once every week, paying $70-some a week. Y'all do the math and the time. Y'all know I wanted this because I was like, if I didn't, I would have took this maybe 3 times max and I would have been done. But that's how much I wanted to be in the industry. But y'all, the money, the time. So I go in there, we all hyping each other up before we like, you got this, all right. So I'm just like, God, this gonna be what it's gonna be. Like, y'all, every time I'm like that, like it happens every single time. I think when you're so nervous, your adrenaline is messing up, you start overthinking stuff. That's another thing, y'all. Try not to overthink it. I know, like, I did it and I'm like, okay, is it A or B or okay. I would say stick with your gut. If you chose A, choose A and move on, unless you know it's absolutely wrong. Or during the test, there are questions. So like question 1, you're like, okay, is it A or B or C or okay. Write it down on your paper. So then when you are going through the exam, because there was 140 questions on the Alabama state exam, and question like 100 is gonna reference question number 1 and it's gonna answer it. So then you're like, boom, okay, I wrote down number 1, okay, boom, so now I can change that answer. But if you have a gut feeling that the answer you chosen is correct, stick with it, because 9 times out of 10 when you change it, it's gonna be wrong. And I also say on the exam, when you are like taking it, write down questions. If you are just stuck on number 5, write it down, say skipped, and then I would leave like a whole little area. So when I was like blanked out on a question or the answer choices were too close together, I would just write, I would write skipped, and I drew a line, and then I would just write the question number. And so I would put like 1, 5, 30, whatever. So then I wouldn't waste time getting so stuck on that, because all the information is like flooding in your mind, because you're like trying to, okay, boom, 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 I remember this. It's so much information, y'all. And so come back to the skip questions at the end, because you may see it later on in your exam. And so y'all, I'm just like, God, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. If I don't pass, we gonna see them next week. At that point, it was also like funny because the proctors knew those of us that didn't pass and were repeatedly there. They're like, hey, Mrs. Pruitt. I'm like, hey, y'all. Like, y'all being shady, but whatever. And so I took the exam. It was the most relaxed I have felt. I just went in there and was like, we gonna take this thing and we gonna, oh, y'all, saw a little gnat in my house. Okay. And I'm like, we just gonna take it and see what it's gonna be. And so I take it, and when I hit submit at the end, I felt like, okay, I feel good about this. But I felt good about the other ones and didn't pass. So I'm like, all right, we gonna see. So we go out, and the lady's like, you got to give her back the paper and all that. So she pulled, they give you your results right there. So I'm just like, whatever, we gonna see what it's gonna say. And so the lady was like, how many pieces of paper did you get? And I was like, I'm confused. What do you mean? I just gave you my paper. I was like, huh, I'm sorry. And she was like, when you know, last time. And I was like, I'm still not getting it. Like, you get 1 piece of paper. You get a piece of paper, your calculator, and a pencil. I'm confused. Like, what do you mean? I just gave you my paper. I'm sorry. Like, I don't understand. And she was like, no, when you don't pass, like, how many pieces of paper did you get last time? And I was like, oh, I just got 1 piece of paper. It told me, you know, I didn't pass. It tells me, like, you know, what I didn't do good on, my score. And I just got 1 piece of paper. And she was like, well, baby, you got 3. She was like, baby girl, you passed. And I was like, ah! And I just started crying. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? I was like, stop playing, stop playing. And she was like, no, baby, you passed. And she was like, what did I tell you? She was like, I had prayed over you. She's like, something in my heart knew you wanted this. And she was like, just to see you come back consistently every single week and have a positive attitude about it, not be defeated, and come back with a smile on your face. Like, I just wanted to say a prayer over you, and I did. And when I saw your name yesterday, I said a prayer for you to pass today. And I was like, oh my gosh. And we just had a moment, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so she was like, at that point I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm shaking. And I'm immediately, because like they give you a bag, like they are very, they don't play with you. So you cannot like take your stuff in there and just put it down. You have to like put it in a bag. They lock your bag. Like it's a whole thing. You cannot have, there's no cheating, baby. You cheat, you is out of there, okay? So I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, can I call my wife? And so I was like, do you mind unlocking my bag? So she unlocks my bag, and my like wallet and my keys and phone were in there. So I called my mom and my wife, and my sister might have been on there, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, I passed. I'm like crying, the ugly cry. And they were like, oh my gosh. And so then it tells you like all the steps and the money that you have to pay and all that. So I say all that to say, don't be deterred. Delay is not denial. If you don't pass, keep going. And you may find in it that maybe this isn't for me. And if you genuinely feel like that, ask yourself, is this because I'm not passing, or am I genuinely not that interested in this for this to be such an investment? Because real estate is an investment. From the time that you get your paper, it's just money, 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 money. Like I was like, god dang, like why nobody told me all this costs this much? And then when you get with your brokerage, that's a whole nother thing. Then get your marketing, and like y'all, it is so much money to be in real estate. And so as a new agent starting out, if you don't have the budget or the support, I thank God that my mom, my wife, and God were my support, because without them I would not be here. I would not have paid my fees. I would not have my marketing. Like y'all, by the grace of God, because I had quit my job, so I didn't have the budget. And so y'all, it's a lot. But if you love it, you know that this is what you want to do. I think so many people just see like, oh, selling Sunset or selling Tampa, and like I'm just gonna be an agent. They just like go show a few houses and like they just make millions of dollars on those shows. They don't show you, they show you the listing price. They don't show you how much those agents take home, because they don't show you their commission splits, because that's not glamorous. So they don't show you their commission splits. They don't show you the hard work that goes into it, the amount of paperwork, the showing times, the time away from your family, dealing with different emotions and people. It's a whole thing. Real estate agents, I never knew until I did the deal for our house. I was not an agent at the time. That's what made me get into real estate. If you want that story time, let me know in the comments below. But that's what made me get into real estate. And when I did that deal, I was like, whew, baby, your girl tired, okay? And it was a whole lot of work. And now that I'm in the field, it's even more work, and just getting your name out there and building clientele and people taking you seriously because you're a new agent. It is a lot of work. So those are my study tips. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. And yeah, I will see y'all in the next video. For those of you that are about to take your exam, I wish you all the best of luck. And remember, delay is not denial, and keep going. I love you all. Bye.